What's going on, guys? This is Paladin CCG here, and in this video I'm gonna be addressing to all those new Hearthstone players, and this video is just for you guys because in this video I'm gonna be showing you guys a basic mage deck, and this deck is quite an exciting one because we are not gonna be spending any arcane dust on any of the cards. This is just a basic deck, so you could get this deck just by leveling up your Jaina or the Mage hero to level 10 and getting all the basic cards. The necessary cards are just the basic cards and already cards that you own. So without any further ado, let's just get into this video, and I'm gonna be choosing the Mage. The first thing and the first and foremost thing is for Mage, there are not that great basic cards, not that great basic minions actually. Spells are pretty exciting because we've got Fireball, we've got Polymorph, which both of those are just amazing spells. So we're gonna be going right here, and first off is Frost Bolt, and this is a pretty basic spell. Deal 3 damage to a character and freeze it. You could deal 3 damage to the opponent hero or any enemy minion, so that's a decent card right there. 2 copies of Frostbow. Next up is Arcane Intellect. Basic, draw 2 cards just for drawing off more cards because basic mage cards are do not have any card draw, so yep, that's the thing. Another thing is Fireball. I just said it right now. 2 fireballs and 2 polymorphs to deal with all those big minions or big damage dealing minions or some legendary minions you come up across. So it's kind of like just decent. You could deal 6 damage to enemy hero or probably any enemy minion, which is kind of irritating to your opponents, so that's a bummer. And the most irritating card in the mage deck, not just basic, just the whole mage deck, I mean just the whole mage, all the mage cards, is Polymorph. Transform a minion into a 1/1 sheep, which is quite irritating since you could transform the enemy minion into 1/1 sheep and then use your hero power and get rid of it quite easily. So that's a decent card. Another thing is a minion, and this minion is not that great as you look at it because it's got just 3 attack, but 6 health is quite decent for a 4 mana cost creature. But wait, the text is quite amazing. Freeze any character damaged by this minion. So you could even freeze the opponent hero, or if it's damage dealing hero like druid or something like that, rogue druid, you could freeze it, or else you could freeze any minion, which is quite decent. So for mana cost creature, pretty decent. And finally, you cannot easily win using this card. Sometimes you could easily one shot knock out the player, the enemy, uh, or you could not. This card is in quite controversies because first off, this card, when you look at it, deal 4 damage to all enemy minions, which is crazy good to gain the board control. But if you have 10 mana still left, you have to spend 7 mana to get this card running. And if you don't have any creature that is of 3 mana that turn, you could do nothing else, just this and the hero power probably. So that's a bummer, but this card, sometimes it's decent, so yep, that's decent. Now we're gonna be going into the normal part, but first is this thing, Mirror Image. Summon 2 0/2 minions with taunt. This card is quite not that great actually, but it's great for picking up the board control, because if you have this card and you are putting 2 minions with taunt, the enemy is still gonna hit the taunt, and you could just have more other creatures or other minions, which are ready to attack. So yeah, that's kind of decent. So I'm gonna be putting these two also. Now to some neutral cards, and in neutral card, the first one is Acidic Swamp Ooze. Now, why this is great? Because of its battle cry. Destroy your opponent's weapon. So if your opponent has got some decent weapon which has a pretty nice durability or a pretty nice attack which could just knock you off the next turn, you could go just play this card and just kill the opponent's weapon actually, not the opponent's weapon, and you still have got a decent 2 mana creature, 3/2. I mean, yeah, it's a decent creature, so yeah, why not? Another thing is Bloodfen Raptor. No. Okay. This is just a basic beast. Why this is important? Because we need to have more and more 1, 2, 3, and 4 mana creatures in this deck, so that those guys can stay on the ground, and you could just fire some flame strike, or you could go for polymorph and fireball in just one turn. So that's a pretty decent card for, I mean, 2 mana cost. So yep, that's decent. Another card is the Cabal Geomancer. I'm gonna be telling you guys to, I mean, this card is great because it's got 2/2 for 2 mana cost, which is not that great, but spell damage +1, which is decent. When we have spells like Fireball, it could deal 7 damage, and that's crazy good. So yeah, why not? Another thing is Sun Cleric, Shattered Sun Cleric. Give a friendly minion +1/+1. This card, on the whole, is not that great because it's got 3 attack and 2 health, which is kinda decent for a 2 mana cost. But since this is a 3 mana cost, it's totally garbage. But because of its battle cry, give a minion +1/+1, which is pretty decent. So yeah, 2 of those. Now we're gonna be needing more and more taunt creatures to build up some board control. So yep, obviously, um, Shield Master, Shield Master, 4 mana cost creature, 3 attack and 5 health. Pretty decent, but since it's got taunt, yep, it's pretty decent because taunt creatures tend to have pretty low attack, but this guy has a decent attack, so yep, getting board control. I mean, Shield Master can do that. Another thing is we need more and more bulky creatures, and for this thing, we need the most famous Yeti. I'm talking about Chillwind Yeti, which is a pretty decent creature for a 4 mana cost, 4 attack and 5 defense. I mean 5 health, not defense. No battle cry, no death rattle. Actually, it's not needed at all because this guy is totally decent. When you've got Chillwind Yeti and Shield Master in your hand, and you've got 10 mana left to spend, you should do these two. Just these two are great. So yep, that's pretty decent. Now we still don't have that many card draws. So I mean, apart from intellect. So we're gonna be going with this guy, Gnomish Inventor. Now I'm gonna be putting up just 1 copy of this guy because we need um, more of some other beastly creatures. So 1 copy of Inventor and 1 copy of this beast of a creature, Gurubashi Berserker. This guy, at the first thought, it looks pretty bulky because it's got 7 health and not that great attack, 2 attack. But if you attack this guy with your hero power that's gonna do just 1 damage, it could just transform this 5 mana creature from 2/7 to 5/6, which is unbelievably good for a 5 mana creature, and which is pretty decent. So yeah, I'm just gonna be putting one of Gurubashi Berserker, um, and obviously more and more bulky creatures. Boulder Fist Ogre, 6 mana cost and 6 attack and 7 health, which is pretty damn sick. So yeah, why not? And finally, to sum this up, Stormwind Champion. Oops. Yep, your other minions have +1/+1. This is quite amazing, since if you've got probably 2 to 3 minions, this guy is essentially a 9/9, because it's giving 3/3 to other 3 minions, so that's pretty decent. So one copy of this guy, and bam, that's the whole thing. This is the whole deck, and this you could just get all these cards just by completing, leveling up your mage hero to just level 10, and you could just, this deck is not that great for arenas, and not that great against aggressive decks, but this deck is pretty damn good against any other decks other than aggressive, or maybe some rogue decks also, because rogues are tentatively more aggressive. So yep, if at all you want to always win with this deck, that's not possible actually, because I've played with this deck and I've got about um I don't know, 7 wins from 11 games, so that's not that bad considering all of these cards are basic, and I've just murdered my opponents with these 2 cards, one of which is Stormwind Champion, because uh, on entering the board he just gives +1/+1 to each and every minion, which is unbelievably good. And the other one is Gurubashi Berserker. This guy is amazing, because I mean this guy is amazing, so you should just check this deck out. And thanks guys for watching, and I'll be making more and more basic hero decks for you guys to check out, for all those viewers who cannot afford to spend on this game, because it's not always pay to win. Thanks guys for watching, and I hope to see you next time.